Hello all, I Nirmala Rawat welcome you to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be starting Chapter 21, Part 1 Sita's Unseen Work. Soma continues. One day, not long after this, a very strange incident took place. As soon as I came into Mata's cottage that morning, I sensed a rare uneasiness in Mata that overshadowed the joy that normally exuded from her being. She seemed disturbed by something, but I couldn't identify any cause. Love and Kush were fine, our food was plentiful, Mata seemed perfectly healthy. Nothing seemed amiss. I watched her during the day. At one point, I asked if anything was wrong. She looked at me and nodded, but only replied, "It will reveal itself." The day passed. Periodically, she would look out the door and glance toward the forest, as if she were expecting someone. I thought perhaps she was missing Sri Ram and was silently hoping for his arrival. But it was another arrival she was awaiting. The next morning, we found a tigress lying at the gate of our cottage. As soon as she saw Mata by the doorway, the great beast lifted her head and let out an agonizing cry, which frightened the children. Mata looked at her for a few minutes, and shaking her head, she slowly closed the door. All day and all night, the tigress lay there, periodically emitting a cry. Finally, I could not stand it. "Perhaps she is wounded," I suggested, knowing full well that if that were the case, Mata would have certainly attended to her. "She is wounded, but in the heart, not in the body," Mata replied. "Do you know what the problem is?" Mata nodded. "I will go to her, but not just yet. She must realize her grave mistake." The second day and night passed, and still the tigress did not move. On the third morning, Mata went to her. I watched from the doorway as Mata knelt in front of her, and I saw the tigress place her head on Mata's lap. Mata stroked her head and began to speak to her. "What you did was wrong," said Mata, lifting the tigress' head and looking directly into her eyes. "Now take your cubs and go deep into the forest and stay away from human habitats. They will hunt you now, so go quickly deep into the forest." As Mata spoke these words, 3 cubs emerged from the edge of the forest, where they had been hiding behind some trees. They approached Mata, and she blessed them that they would be safe. When they were gone, I asked Mata to explain. She sighed and said, "A hunter killed the eldest of her cubs, and in a fit of anger, she went into a village and killed a little boy. Now the villagers are hunting for her. Thus begins the war between man and nature," she said sadly. Then added, "I must go find that family, Soma. Let us cook." She went to the kitchen area and began to prepare a large pot of food. All the while, she kept repeating the words, "I must have Hanuman with me. I must have Hanuman with me, and the chariot." Throughout the morning, as we were preparing food, she repeated that refrain. By early afternoon, I saw the chariot drive up, and out stepped Hanuman. He greeted us as if nothing were out of ordinary. But Mata exclaimed, "Thank goodness you have come. Now let me dress and we will go." "I heard your call, Mata, but where are we going?" he asked. "We will see." She rushed into the cottage, and I saw her dig out her royal clothes from a wooden chest in her room. Helping her dress, I asked what this was about. "It will be more meaningful to them if they see their Rani." More meaningful to whom? I was perplexed, wondering if she was going to Ayodhya. She didn't answer, but rather directed me to load the food onto the chariot. She told me to stay with the children, and she and Hanuman took off. The rest of the story I heard from Hanuman after their return. They had ridden from one village to the next until Mata finally said, "I think this is the one." When they got down from the chariot, they found a village in the morning. She asked Hanuman to bring the food, and they went from hut to hut until she found the weeping mother. Mata whispered to Hanuman. A hunter had killed the cub of a tigress, and in her anger, the tigress killed that woman's child. Now the village men are hunting the tigress. I must stop them. Mata stood at the doorway of the hut, waiting to be invited in. Hanuman described to me the pain on Mata's face as she saw the agony of the mother who was calling out to her small son who had been killed. When her husband saw that it was the Maharani who was standing at their door, he quickly touched Mata's feet and begged her forgiveness. "We have just lost our young son," he said. "Please forgive us for not being able to receive you properly, Maharani. I heard about the incident and have brought you some food," she replied. "Please let me tend to your wife." He invited her and Hanuman to enter. Hanuman brought the food to Mata, who laid it out before the weeping mother. When she realized it was the Maharani who stood before her, she wiped her tears and exclaimed, "Forgive me for not receiving you as I should." Mata looked at her with compassion and quietly spoke to her. "Nothing I can say can ease your pain. I am also a mother, and so I know the deep wound in your heart. But please let me offer you this food that I have cooked with my own hands. It will bring you some relief." Mata had put special herbs into the food to calm the emotions. She laid out the food and the woman ate. As Mata watched, she saw the woman was weary from lack of sleep. After finishing her meal, she lay down beside Mata and fell asleep. "I don't know what you have done, but I am ever grateful," said her husband. "She has not eaten or slept at all since he was killed 4 days ago. He was the youngest of our 3 children and the only son. He was most dear to her." Mata shook her head in sorrow when she heard those words. Then he asked, "Well, where will you spend the night, Maharani?" Mata hadn't thought of that. They were far from the hermitage and night had fallen. She looked at Hanuman to see whether they could manage to get home, but he shook his head. "It is better we wait until daybreak," he whispered in answer to the question she did not voice. "With your permission, I will make arrangements for your stay with the village chief," the man hurried to say. "We have only come to comfort you," replied Mata in a gentle voice. "No need to worry about our accommodations. But I hesitate to leave your wife in her condition. Yes, we will spend the night so I can speak with her when she awakes." Jai Shri Ram. This story will continue in next part. Please watch complete videos and let me know your views. Jai Shri Ram.